Hi, this is Valerie Guillaume, and I'm going to make this very brief video about a very corrupt Canadian judge by the name of Jamie Trimble, who works from the Brampton Brampton Court, Brampton, Ontario, Canada. So I made also a couple of other videos about him, but his most recent actions I want to expose because you see, he's open that when he does these things that it's covered up. But it's not going to be covered up, Jamie Trimble, because you are a racist white judge in the Canadian court. And you should be removed because you do not benefit the public. You do not act in the interests of the public. You do not have respect for the different people who live in this country. You do not have respect for them as a race, as a people. You do not have respect for them as people who have the protection of the Canadian Constitution. Okay, you carry out corruption in your courtroom. So let me jump right into what he did. So his most recent actions against me was to block my urgent motion. So after he lifted the automatic stay of Justice Fowler Brain, who made the mandatory order against Peel Region to rehouse me in their shelter system after they had arbitrarily evicted me and caused me serious irreparable harm. So that hearing, I was not able to go to the full hearing, and Stuart J made the order against me, which I now appeal. So Stuart J's order is being appealed. Okay, I'm just waiting for a hearing date before the panel. In the meantime, Jamie Trimble made an endorsement. First of all, he was a case conference judge in this matter. Then he made himself the trial judge hearing the motion when he shouldn't have done that because he was already predisposed to bias in regard to me. And he was biased. There was a presumption of bias. What I did was I filed a motion to set aside his decision, and that's been blocked by a couple of other judges, corrupt judges in the Brampton Court, Michael Emery and Agarwal, this Indian judge, who I was also before his courtroom October 10th because the motion was so urgent because the eviction date was October 17th, and so I was trying my best to get this urgent motion heard. And he told me straight out, I'm not going to hear your urgent motion. But later on that day, he went and reviewed my urgent motion that I had sent to the court the previous day, and then made a ruling on it. The point I'm trying to make is this. I was before his court and he denied my matter to be heard. I have a right to be heard and to make a defense. That was not afforded to me under this corrupt Judge Agarwal, since he came straight out and says, I'm not going to hear your urgent motion. So he straight out denied me the right to be heard. Then, that same day, he privately went and reviewed the motion materials I had sent to the court, even though earlier on he says he's not going to hear it. He's not going to give me the opportunity to be heard in the court. He was not going to hear my motion. That's what he says. Because he didn't have the materials and blah, blah, blah. So then why are you now, a couple hours later, going to be the judge to review my urgent motion when I'm not there? I'm not there. I can't make a defense, and I'm not being heard. But that's what he did. And then he dismissed it. Then I filed this urgent motion now after Peel carried out that eviction against me on the 17th. And they did that because I filed my certificate of stay with the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office is an extension of the court. And to show you how corrupt Peel Region is, and Judge um, Jamie Trimble is, they all knew that the certificate stay, Peel is now supposed to go and file that order with the sheriff, and it's up to the sheriff to carry out that enforcement of the eviction order. Not Peel Region, not the shelter management, not the police. The authority has been given to the sheriff's office. So they didn't do that. Okay? They didn't get the sheriff's office involved, which the sheriff's office has the jurisdiction to enforce that. Because one of the reasons why they didn't do that is because they wanted to do it immediately. And the sheriff's office usually give you some time, let you know when they're coming to carry out that. And so they didn't want me to have any opportunity to try to get another hearing before the court to deal with that decision of Jamie Trimble. Nevertheless, after that happened, I've been trying to get my urgent motion heard in the court. What Jamie Trimble did recently, because I'm suffering irreparable harm because I'm homeless now. So I filed the urgent motion, and what he did was he blocked it. He blocked it by not regarding it as an urgent motion, ex parte motion. I filed an urgent ex parte motion, meaning I did not serve the others, because if I did regular service, I am required under the rules to allow sufficient time for the other side to respond, and I didn't have the time for that. My urgent situation cannot allow that, because if that's been allowed, which is what Jamie Trimble did, then I'm going to be suffering more harm and more harm and more irreparable harm, which is what is happening. So he thought he could block my urgent motion and no one will know about it. Block it in the sense that he knew that his order has caused me to be homeless. And so why now go and block my urgent motion to be heard before a judge to discuss my irreparable harm that I'm facing based on your previous actions, Jamie Trimble. And he did that because the clerk also, all of them are involved in this, carrying out these crimes against humanity and psychological torture against the Rome Statute. All of them are involved, the court staff and the judges and Peel Region. And so I'm going to be prosecuting all of them in the ICC. I mean, they can just take that to the bank, okay? So the clerk was also blocking it. First, he's telling me, you need to make service on the other side. I emailed him back. I said, this is an ex parte motion. Go read it again. Go look at it. And then he was silent. I said, I will be sending to the court my affidavit in support of the motion shortly, which I did. This was not a situation where it can go through the regular motion route, where service has to be made and then the other side has time to respond. No, this is an urgent situation. Someone has been made homeless because of your decision, Jamie Trimble. And you made that decision while my Peel, that ordered Peel Region to house me in the shelters under appeal. So his intention was to cause me irreparable harm. And he did it out of reprisal and spite. And he did it because he's a racist judge. And the Canadian people need to be aware that he's one of those judges that need to be removed from the bench. So this is the reason why I'm making this video, because Jamie Trimble and what's his name, Rangan Agarwal, this Indian judge who I appeared before him to have my urgent motion heard, and he's like, no, I'm not hearing it. I can't hear it. I'm not going to hear it. But a couple hours later, the clerk brought it to him, and he reviewed it, made a decision to dismiss it, didn't give me the opportunity to be heard when I was before him. So that's something that shouldn't have happened, right? Because he had the opportunity to hear me and said, no, I'm not going to. Then why the hell are you now making a decision on the very same urgent motion which you did not allow me to speak to you about in your courtroom when you had the opportunity? So I want the public to know that these judges like Jamie Trimble, Rangan Agarwal, L.B. Stewart, Michael Emery, and all of these judges who are sitting in the Canadian court, they are acting corruptly, they're acting against the interests of the public, they are endangering the lives of the people, some of the people who appear before them, such as myself. Because under Section 7 of the Charter, the right to life, liberty, security of person, they're endangering that right now. Under the international human rights laws, I have a right to life. This country is not supposed to do anything or allow anything to be done to endanger my life. This is what is happening. This is what Jamie Trimble done. He himself has asked me previously at one of the case conference hearings that he was presiding over what my medical conditions were, and I told him, and they're pretty serious. So when he's making this decision to delay the hearing of my urgent motion, which is causing me irreparable harm and endangering my very life, because in the past week, I believe I've been hospitalized at least twice, and I felt as if I wanted to go to the hospital yesterday because my situation was so aggravated by the stress and all of these things. And one of my condition is like, stress is like my worst enemy. So he knew all of this because I have had audience with this court judge previously, and he knows my medical situation. And when he said delay her urgent motion, he knew this would cause me physical harm. He knew that this would endanger my life, literally endanger my life, my health and my safety and my life. This is a straight up violation of my charter rights. This is a violation on the international human rights laws, my right to life. When he delayed this motion by saying it's not going to be heard as an ex parte motion, serve the respondents, because no harm will be done to the respondent, the region of Peel, this local government, but I'm the one who's going to suffer the worst harm by being made homeless, by my physical safety being endangered because of that situation, and also that Peel will not suffer any harm. There's a conspiracy going on that involves the local government, regional municipality of Peel, court staff, shelter management staff, because it's a massive corruption. It's a massive corruption. And what they all need to know is that I will be prosecuting them. See, the judges in this country, in Canada, have a lot of protection. You can't prosecute them. You can't do anything. This is not the case on the international human rights laws, especially under the Rome Statute. They can be prosecuted, and in my case, they will be prosecuted because they've carried out crimes against humanity, against me, and torture. And for that, they are going to be prosecuted. Jamie Trimble, one of the judges, Rangan Agarwal, Stewart, L.B. Stewart, all of them are going to be defendants in the ICC. Take it to the bank. Okay. This whole problem is because there is no recording in the Canadian courts, and so judges can act corruptly as much as they like, because no one can see what's happening in the courtroom at the time. The public do not have access to Canadian courts, and that's a shame. I'm not going to go into details about that because I've been talking about it for years and years. But one of the reasons why I made this video is to send a message to these corrupt judges that you're not going to do these things to me and hide. People are going to know about it because your peers are going to know about it. Other judges are going to know about it. The entire world is going to know and see your actions. Because the few judges who try to uphold the administration of justice and try to respect people's rights in the courts and try to act fair and things like that, when they see that in a situation where now you've made a ruling that's going to put somebody out on the street and make them homeless, and then when they file this urgent motion, you're going to say no, make service on the other side, which is going to delay significantly the urgent motion from being heard. Because I believe it's a minimum 7 days notice for a hearing. And then the other side has to file their responding motion, which is also going to take time, which would explain why no one has responded to my urgent motion, even after service on region of appeal that I've made in the last few days. I did not hear back from the court after I served my affidavit of service to the court, sent it to the court. I did not hear anything from Peel Region as far as them filing any responding materials. How dare this judge endanger my life and my safety by disregarding the urgency of this urgent motion and treating it as if it's a regular motion that can have all the time in the world to be heard by the court. This is where his corruption lies, because he's endangering my safety directly, and he's going against the law as far as his discriminatory actions against me. Because under the charter, I have equal benefit and access to the law, which is not what he's doing. I'm being discriminated against right now. He's a white racist judge sitting in Canadian, and he needs to be exposed, because there are different people living in Canada and their rights are protected under international human rights laws. Their rights are also supposed to be protected under the Canadian Charter. But when you go before these racist judges, only select group of people, white people, are protected under the Constitution. Here I am, a black woman, who's saying I have the same guaranteed rights and freedom as other people in this country, and you're going to make a mockery of it and show such blatant disregard for my physical safety, such blatant disregard for my rights under the charter. And then you're going to go and join with your friends and sit down and laugh and talk about it. No, you're not. You're going to be prosecuted in the ICC. Jamie Trimble, Rangan Agarwal, L.B. Stewart, Michael Emery, Ian Aldott, who's a clerk, and all of those clerks are going to be prosecuted in the ICC because they're part of the overall country. I cannot tell you how many efforts they've made against me to sabotage my efforts in the courts and to help the other side with this legal proceeding. That has been their pattern. I remember the last time I sent a medical note from the doctor and uploaded it to the court. And even though that was done in time for the motion hearing, it was not before the judge. For some reason, the clerk did not even let the judge knew about my medical note that I got. So they do these little things. Another time, I could not upload my motion materials, but the respondents could. And the only way my motion materials could be heard is when the respondent, the Region of PL, uploaded my documents for me, because I let the court know I was blocked from doing that. And I took pictures of it and show it to the court and to the respondent, and they go, oh yeah, I could see that you cannot upload your document. So why could they upload their document but not me? That's not the point of my conversation today, okay? So this is a huge conspiracy to cause me harm. This is a huge conspiracy to endanger my life and my safety. And the crimes they're carrying out against me are forbidden under international human rights laws. Under the International Criminal Court, the Rome Statute, you're not supposed to be carrying out this kind of crimes against me. Crimes against humanity, cruel, degrading treatment. You're not supposed to do that. And that's what they're doing right now. And that's why Jamie Trimble disregarded my urgent motion that I filed a few days ago and treating it as if it's a normal motion by saying make service on the other side. It's not an ex parte motion. You need to serve the other side, ignoring the urgency that he himself has caused me to be put into. And so I had to come and make this video because, he's not going to get away with it. He's just a corrupt judge. And interestingly enough, other people have also made articles about him that are online, made complaint to the Judicial Council about him. And so I'm not the only one. So why is he still sitting on the bench? He needs to be removed as a judge, because he's not acting to uphold the administration of justice. He brings disrepute to the administration of justice. He's not allowed to ignore or infringe upon someone's charter rights. And he's not allowed to do these things, to act so openly corrupt. So my intention is to expose his actions in front of the world and say, look, here's one of these Canadian judges that you need to sit up and take notice of, because he is corrupt. He is endangering people's lives when he's disregarding their constitutional rights. He has no business sitting on the bench. He's a racist. He's a white racist. What he's put me through, he would never put a white person through this. All of this he's done to me is because I am black. And he upholds the systematic racism in the Canadian court, Jamie Trimble. Not only that, he's also corrupt in the sense that he protects this corruption involving money and corporation, because that's what Peel Region is. It's a municipal government, but the housing division is run by Peel Housing Corporation. And the Salvation Army, the shelter that I was staying at, with its multi-million-dollar contract with the Region of Peel, monopolizes that situation, and it doesn't deliver on the services. And these are what I've been exposing at the shelter, because it needed to be done. Okay. And this is how they take out their reprisal against me. Anybody at the shelter will tell you that I'm not violent, and I'm never even there. I leave in the morning and I come back very late. But Peel stressed in his motion that they can't carry out their policies because of me. So they want to continue to act corrupt and do the things that they've been doing at the expense of the homeless people. There's been so many deaths. There's been, what, 3 deaths in the last 2 months? Two within 72 hours. They're not answerable to anyone. And so I'm the only resident who they have ever come across who challenged them legally and said, no, you can't do that. And because there's so much money involved, hundreds of millions of dollars, they're like, who is this homeless black woman who think that she can stand in our way? That's what this is all about. It's also about them trying to cause me harm, which is why they issued the initial eviction order when Justice Andre said, do not rent this apartment out except to her regarding the injunction. Immediately, within days, I got the notice from Christian Commons, leave the shelter. You can stay in any, you have to be relocated out of the region, and I'm cutting off your rental housing subsidy, which I was going to use for that apartment. And as I stated before, if you're dealing with the civil court, it's based on the balance of probability. That is why I'm trying to show you how corrupt Judge Trimble is. He damn well knew that the reason why they did that, based on the balance of probability, was to interfere in my legal proceeding with the landlord. But he ignored that because he's for these corporations. He protects them. He protects Peel Housing Corporation, which oversees these shelters, and gets hundreds of millions of dollars from City Council. One of the outstanding issues at the shelter right now, which I and others were talking about, was the fact that they, Peel Housing Corporation and the Housing Division, Aileen Baird, Christian Commons, and the shelter management, what have they done with the rental housing subsidy that they cut off from me and other people there haven't been getting, because they get that money up front from the City Council? Where is it going? So there's massive fraud involved. Okay? There's massive fraud. Everything needs to be fixed there. I posted a video of one of the other locations. When you look at the bathroom, so if they're not using the money to do these necessary repairs or to assist the homeless people to get adequate housing, like me when I got that apartment, and they conspired with the property manager, Barzan Slayman. I know they did, because since P was paying the rent directly, they would have had contact with him to work out the rental payment. And this is how the conspiracy started between them and the landlord, which is why I'm in the court with both of them, because I'm like, this is not happening. And so they now found ways to get around it. How dare the region of Peel, how dare Canadian local government, the municipal government, say to me, we are going to deny you these services to live in this region. If you want to live in this region, we're not going to provide services to you. How dare you? They're not allowed to do that. As long as I live in this region, I'm allowed to have the same services as everyone else. You don't make the decision, relocate her out of the region. You can't do that. Which is what Jamie Trimble has allowed them to do. You do not override the statute, the Housing Services Act, and says Peel, which specifically, and also the Municipal Act, I believe, Section 11 and 14 of those two statutes, provincial statute, which forbids Peel Region to act outside of its service area. But Jamie Trimble didn't see in his head that when you say Peel can, quote unquote, work with other regions, that is the same as saying they can act outside of their service area and relocate someone else and relocate a homeless resident. You can't do that. They're not allowed to do that. So these are the things I want to expose what he's doing. And now he's causing me significant harm by saying, I'm going to treat your urgent motion as a regular motion. Go and make service on the respondents. I'm not going to consider, first of all, it shouldn't even have been brought before him because it's his own damn order that I'm having reviewed by the panel. So the clerk should have brought my urgent motion before another judge, not Jamie Trimble. But he did. He brought it before him, where now he's not regarding the urgent situation that he has put me in by causing me to be homeless, which is endangering my physical safety, and caused me to be hospitalized twice within the last couple of days, within the last week. And it's an ongoing situation. I can be making this video today, and land in the hospital later on today or tomorrow because I have these pre-existing medical condition, and the stress is causing me to be hospitalized because it's aggravating my medical condition. And that's just one thing. So I wanted to expose him in this video, Jamie Trimble. I want everyone in Canada and around the world to know that you are a white, racist, corrupt judge who only protect the interests of corporations and people who are into money, and you don't think about the average person. Okay, it's about maintaining the white status quo, because all of these people within the local government, the region of Peel, are all white. They're all white. Christian Commons, Aileen Baird, these are all white Canadian people who have now make it their mission to see me relocated out of the region and discontinue my housing subsidy, because they're claiming that their reason for discontinuing the subsidy, which Jamie Trimble bought, was that I was not working with the shelter staff. And what I told them, and remember, the decision was made right after I got the injunction. So they wanted me to disregard my legal proceeding in trying to secure this apartment with the landlord by telling me, go look for other housing. And I'm like, it would be a contempt of court if I disregard this legal proceeding and try to waste the court's time and says, I'm seeking this injunction to try to keep this apartment, and now you want me to disregard this proceeding and go look for an apartment when I'm trying to keep this one. And it's only days since I got the injunction against this landlord to try to keep this apartment. You want me now to go and disregard the legal proceeding? It is a contempt of court if you don't show any respect for the court proceeding. So they put it in their motion materials that I wasn't willing to work with the shelter staff to look for other housing accommodation. How the hell can I look for other accommodation when I'm trying to keep this one? When I started a legal proceeding against the landlord by getting the injunction to block him from renting the place that he had promised to rent to me. And so that's what Christian Commons said. And Trimble is pretending like he's an idiot and didn't see that based on the balance of probability, you're now going to end my stay in the shelter, relocate me out of the region where the apartment is and all of these things, and block the housing subsidy that I need for the apartment. And you don't see this as deliberate. He's trying to say, oh, she's making this allegation that they're conspiring against her, when it's so plain and obvious, and if it's going to be based on the balance of probability, more probably than not, that's why she issued it, especially since she issued that notice 4 days after the injunction was granted. So she was doing everything in her little pea brain to come up with, to interfere with my legal proceeding with the landlord. So I'm not even going into this right now. This video is way longer than I had planned it to be. But I wanted to expose Jamie Trimble, who blocked my urgent motion after he allowed Peel to carry out this eviction against me. Now block me and saying, no, I'm going to treat it as a regular motion, go and make service on them, which is prolonging my situation and the irreparable harm. He's not getting away with this. I want to see this bastard fired. I want to see him off of the judicial, the bench. He shouldn't be doing this. And since this is so difficult in the Canadian government to get a judge like him removed, then he's going to be prosecuted in the ICC for carrying out crimes against humanity, because he's endangering my physical safety right now. He's endangering my physical safety right now, and he's not allowed to do that. For him, it's a joke. This is not a joke. So I'm just going to leave it at that for today in regards to what this corrupt judge, and also the other judge, Rangan Agarwal, he's another one that's going to be prosecuted in the ICC. There should be no place for this kind of racism, where it's going to be now used to literally try to destroy people. Canada need to be exposed to that. Canada need to be exposed to carrying out torture, because that's what I'm facing right now, psychological torture and crimes against humanity. These are human rights abuse. And he buys off everyone so that its actions are not exposed. So what I'm going through now is just a punishment, cruel, degrading, unusual punishment that's being carried out, because they know what they've done in blocking my urgent motion and treating it like it's a normal motion when I'm facing irreparable harm because they forced me out of the shelter. Block my housing subsidy. All of these things that would have provided me with adequate housing so that I could live a normal life. I can't do that now. As they're certainly not based on how they want things to turn out. Will I have a different plan for my life, God willing? Okay, my life is important to me. And so you have no right to endanger it. Jamie Trimble. And another person, I'm also going to prosecute the lawyer, Jennifer Bruce, and another lawyer, Sharon Crow, Mississauga Community Legal Clinic. She's another corrupt woman. I'm going to make a video about her. But this is Valerie Guillaume exposing the judge, Jamie Trimble, a couple of judges, Jamie Trimble and Rangan Agarwal, in this video today. And I will be making further videos in regards to their actions. This is Valerie Guillaume exposing human rights abuse in Canada.